welcome to episode 9 of Art Brunch Archives, the season finale. I'm host of Art Brunch, Rick Bowling, and our guest this week is Nisveta Fejzic. Most of this show works well as audio only, but there are times where we're referencing images on the screen. We host these archives in podcast form as well as on YouTube. In the podcast description, I will share the link to the YouTube video and vice versa. Lastly, before we learn about Nisveta, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Please consider watching the show live with our community on Twitch. The link for that is below as well. Her bio reads, Nisveta is a Bosnian-American storyteller. Nisveta shared having a degree in public relations, doll making, and how important it is to support your friends. Check out the description for ways to connect with Nisveta. Please look at the points of interest in the timeline and description to aid your navigation. And as always, enjoy the show. One thing I like to start out with in the chat is talking about your horoscope for the week. So it being Sunday, it's a great time to reflect on the week and kind of what happened this week, things that changed, and also check the accuracy of your horoscope. So Jacob Leach put me onto this website called astro.com. It's the website that his mom uses.
I love it.
And you are a Pisces. So we'll just read a little excerpt from this here. The tension between Mars and Saturn is at a maximum on Tuesday. Mercury is in Scorpio is no longer willing to mediate between the hardened fronts, and the Sun in Libra lacks the good connections to provide relief. The Moon is still in Aquarius on Monday, where it has understanding for Mars and Aries and encourages rebellious or aggressive action. Then changes
Nice.
to Pisces. This one is really, really complex this week. And is in Aries from Thursday, where it is a full moon showing the heated atmosphere. Let's see here. Did that make any sense to you?
Parts of it. I'm not like super into it, but I am into it to the point where I'm like, yes, this is a week that I've had.
Oh, okay. So what about it reminds you of the week that you've had?
So I'm a rising Libra, and like Libras really want to be like balancing.
Mm,
So I feel like last week was a lot of balancing for me.
mm. And do you feel more balanced now, or was it just a week of balancing?
Mm, I don't know if I feel more balanced now, but I definitely am realizing that like I'd like to follow a schedule more and like knowing where my energy needs to lie.
Mm, cool. Um, One second here. Okay. Nikona, welcome to the chat. It's good to see you here. I see you've been streaming. Um, Definitely cool. Anybody in the chat looking to follow another cool art streamer, you can go give Nikona a follow. Okay, so you sent me your bio, and I like to read bios uh, to let everybody kind of get a sense of you. Your bio um, was unique in one very special way. So your bio is Nisveta is a Bosnian-American storyteller, and I just love the directness of it. It's I think it's really interesting and telling how um, people talk about themselves, and I thought that was very clear, very concise. Leaves a lot to question and a lot to be imagined, but also very descriptive.
Yeah, I'm a very curious person, so like the way that people introduce themselves is always like either a way to open a door or it'll kind of like turn me away from their art. So when I say I'm a storyteller, it can really go anywhere.
Mm. And do you like using the term storyteller versus the term artist?
I have a strong preference towards it, yes.
Could you, um, I'm curious about that. Could you elaborate on it a little bit?
I think that what sometimes artists lack is the ability to tell the story about their art. So when I think of artists as storytellers, I think of them being able to like conquer language as an art form. Like there's just so many ways that like saying an artist fails us. Like when you
Mm.
say you're an artist, people have like a perceived notion of what an artist is and how they react to an artist.
Mm.
And when I say I'm a storyteller, people find out that I'm an artist, but they also find out I'm more.
Mm. Yeah. Nakono in chat says the one sentence bio is also very non pretentious, which feels inclusive.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want people reading like a million words about me.
Mm.
There's there's just so many things to be said. So like keeping it brief is like a compliment to the audience's intelligence, really.
Mm. And I have to admit, yeah, when I first interacted with your bio, it felt it felt very inclusive, and it also made me like more curious about the way that you frame yourself or the way that you're approaching your work. And I think that that's something that I've had an experience with you and your work is this slow understanding over time. Like we've been in a very similar circle for years and years. I can't even remember, exactly when and where I first interacted with your work or your online presence. Um, and there's been like learning and a lot to notice and kind of understand about your work. And then now as we move into a relationship that's closer, um, I had the great experience of coming to your studio this week, and it's been this slowly unfolding experience or story around your work that isn't like superficial. It's not something that I ever accessed in like this immediacy, or this immediate way, or thinking that I understand you immediately. Um, but there's been kind of like an opening to that in my experience with your work.
Thank you. That's I really enjoyed the way that you framed that. I feel like a lot of people when they see an artist, they want to like know, they want to like understand everything right off the bat. And I think that as an as a person in St. Louis that's been making work, I think I've just been I've just I feel like I'm only at the surface level of what I'm doing right now. So like it's really nice to know that there's a lot more to learn
Hmm.
from each other too.
Yeah, yeah, it's important. And also in your bio, prominently feature that you are Bosnian-American, right? Is that how it
So
was? Yeah,
I
Bosnian-American.
that, like being Bosnian has been a very interesting thing in my life. Like most of the people in my personal life know that I spent the past 2 years getting my citizenship, like my
Mm,
Bosnian citizenship, and it like it was not easy, and I appreciate everyone that helped me along the way. But knowing that it takes work to be like it takes work to like call yourself something. Like you can't just like eat meatballs and be Italian. Like
mm,
it takes it takes years of work and it takes a lot of paperwork and documentation to prove who you are, which is really messed up. So, yeah, being Bosnian American, I'm a dual citizen and I don't know, I'm always ready for a duel now, like especially during these times.
Mm. So you had to, so you were in the process of getting your Bosnian citizenship, not your American citizenship, over the past 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I got my Bosnian citizenship finally last summer. I got like an identity card that proves I'm a Bosnian, which it was it cost so much money and it took so much time, and I went to Europe so many times, and people always thought that I was just like living it up in Europe, but really I was like going through documents and spending like 12 hours at checkpoints and
Mm.
like meeting other immigrants and migrants on this like sphere of like who we are and finding each other and like getting to name ourselves in the way that we are.
Mm. Yeah, it's not something that I have any frame of reference for, having to earn in these different ways something that um, something that is like written to you, or is like in some way like a birthright, or a thing that you know that you have, but you have to prove that you have, moving through that space. And how how does that feel now? I don't know. I love you sharing this. Thank you for sharing it. But how does it feel now to have the paper, or to know that like you can say what you say?
Um, well, I feel like now more than ever having like this paper, it makes me feel like I want to make sure that no one needs to have a paper to
Mm,
like explain who they are, be who you are. Like you don't need a government to acknowledge who you are for you to exist. And it just makes me feel more passionately that like existence is resistance and like no one can define you for you.
mhm. But you went through the process of going through these steps to have someone define you as the way you define you.
It felt very validating.
Yeah.
I wanted to validate myself. Like the past 2 years, I felt very invalid and like like I felt like I had something to prove to myself and I had something to like claim. Like if I'm not gonna say who I am, like if I can't be who I am, then other people can't be who they are.
Mm,
And so going after what I wanted was really important for me. It just like you never know if your situation is certain. Um, and that like goes for being an American as well. Like we don't know if tomorrow is guaranteed, and there's always like a different there's always a different option. So being able to say that I'm Bosnian and American just means a lot to me
mm,
because most people think that you can't be two things at the same time, or most people think that being an American overshadows everything else. Or like some people say Bosnians don't exist anymore because we killed them all. And it's just powerful to be both.
yeah. Well, congratulations. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing. Um, let's move into some other ways that you talk about yourself and declare yourself. When when did you do you have a sensation of understanding or declaring yourself as a storyteller?
So this like goes back to high school.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in high school, on I was in journalism. So I was the opinions editor of the school newspaper. And I remember telling my writers, I was like, I really don't care about what you write. I want to care. Like, I want to hear the story. And uh, I think that was when I was first, like, very adamant about being a storyteller. And then like during high school was when I was like, I think public relations people tell stories better than journalists. So I
Mm.
went the public relations route. And I don't know, I think I'm very story focused because we do learn from stories and we do learn from like pictures.
Were you really interested in stories as a child?
I was super interested in making up my own stories.
Mm.
I grew up like my sister wasn't born until I was like 9. So I had like almost a decade of just like being the only child and
Hmm.
making up my own things and like interacting with the world on my own. It just it makes sense to just like make things up growing up when I was
Hmm.
little because everything else is made up. Like most of the things in our life is just because someone made it up. So
Yeah, so why not? Did you
more play.
did you have a lot of stuffed animals when you were a child?
I did. I absolutely did. I like thinking back, like I had my own room and you wouldn't be able to open the door of the room all the way because I had so many toys everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like I didn't have any siblings growing like when I was younger. And so like my toys were my brothers and sisters.
Hmm. Yeah, the reason I bring that up is we'll get into your work here, a portion of your work here in a little bit, but there is a focus, or there are dolls in the work right now, stuffed things. You challenged me in your studio to consider having more soft things in my life. So when we talk about childhood or think about childhood, thinking about like those areas, those spaces and environments that we grow up in, and the way that I think they have huge impacts on our work, if not every impact on our work in one way or another. Ali Sure, welcome to the stream. Ali Sure says everything is made up, two exclamation points. Uh,
True.
welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us today. Um, are there other formative experiences in your childhood for your artist practice?
Um, I feel like one of the most impactful experiences for my childhood was when my family had to like sell everything that we owned when we were in Germany and we had to come to St. Louis. So like the stuffed animals, like the dolls that I kept during that time, like I
Hmm.
still have now.
Mm.
Like there's a duck that if you pull a string, it plays like this melody.
Mm.
And I have this like little orange lion that my sister claims is hers, but like
Oh.
it literally or its origin stories with me. So yeah, I think about those dolls.
And I think when we talked, um, you said you started making dolls as part of your creative practice recently, relatively recently.
Yeah, so I used to work at Skiff International, and my dear friend is the owner of it. And so when I was working there, I got to start making dolls, and it was just like a way to reuse the scraps, like it was like a sustainability thing.
Hmm.
So started out as that, and like when I first started making the dolls, I was going through a period of where I just felt like very lost and I didn't really know like what was next. So I like dove into making these dolls and I just got so much good feedback. Like people loved them, they wanted to see more, they were excited about what shapes I was going to make next.
Mm.
So like that gave me something to look forward to. I really like goals. Like I'm a very goal oriented person
Hmm.
and like the dolls, like someone said like, "Oh, you'll make 1,000 dolls in the next month." And I was like, "Oh, that's only like 30 dolls a day. I can do that."
Hmm.
So it it was something that I wanted to pursue.
Did you make 1,000 dolls?
I've probably made way more.
Wow.
Yeah, there's probably more than 1,000 dolls out there in the world, easily.
That's so cool. I mean, I think you kind of have to do something probably like 1,000 times for it to make any sense. Do you think that's a
I
good number?
still don't think it makes sense though.
No?
I don't like even when people ask me to like explain the process of like how do you make a doll, it's like, well, where do I begin? Like I still don't really I still haven't found the language to really explain how lovely it is to make something. Like when you're able to get out of your mind and you're able to make things with your hands, like it just reminds me that like where I stop and where the world begins. Like I only have my sewing machine and the rest of the world can do whatever it wants.
Hmm.
It's just the dolls have always been a way for me to escape from everything else around me.
Hmm. They are very well cared for from what I've seen. And I spent like 20 or 30 minutes explaining my experience at your studio and the doll to my partner Tiffany, and we spent time just like looking at it and seeing the way that you selected um, these fabrics and the way that they're joined. You know, I had thought about, I think for me when I first come into contact with a doll or something, they seem really simple. Like there's like a simplicity to the wizard that you gave me. When you first interact with it, it makes sense. It's like, oh, I've seen this thing over and over and over again. But most of them that I've seen have been mass produced. I don't have any evidence of the hand inside of the object. And it was a really kind of special experience to come into contact with this like plushy or comforting or holdable art object that came directly from a hand. It was like really kind of subversive to my expectations about like what a doll is.
Yeah, most people do have an expectation that something's mass produced when you tell them it's a doll. Um, but I do find that there's a push for more art piece, like more the things that you buy like impact the way that you are feeling and like the art that's around you is going to like impact your life. And I think that people realize that more because there's a push for more handmade dolls. Soft sculpture has come a really long way on Instagram. I feel like I'm constantly being blown away by people that make dolls. Like if if there's if there's anything I've learned this past year is that the doll making community has an opinion and they are like showing the work that they're making. I met this lady last year when I was first starting making dolls and she called my dolls very primitive,
Mm,
and she's been making dolls for like 20 years. And when she told me that my work was primitive, at first I was kind of offended, but then I came around to it. Like I would rather be primitive than like being unapproachable.
mm,
Like I'd rather have people being hands-on with what I make instead of just being like looking at it from afar. Um, I think that putting art in people's hands is just a a way to like for people to like grasp beauty. Like you can only I don't know, beauty's in the hands of the beholder, right?
mm. Yeah, or the eyes, but maybe the hands.
Yeah.
I think that there's a connection there between other things that I've noticed about you and other things that people notice about you. Uh, Nikono in the chat says complicated is also not always good. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Um, that there's a big uh, ooh, gotta love words. Um,
They're made up too.
yeah, I know. Inference isn't the word. There's a big focus. You have a big focus on being supportive in your community. I think that like uh, somehow there's this connection between like being hands-on and simple with these art objects also points to this way of connecting with the world in a personal and very like visceral way with other people, and in a very like caring way with other people. Do you think of yourself as like a really caring person?
I want to be cared for, and the only way that you are cared for is if you care for other people. Like I've met a lot of people that don't care, and like they don't care about like how people perceive them. They don't care about a lot of things, but I really care. Like I really really care a lot about my friends, and I care about the world. I don't know if like a lot of people know about, I feel like a lot of people don't know about St. Louis, and a lot of people don't know about like the Westlake landfill or Weldon Springs and like the radioactive history of St. Louis. And like I care a lot. Like I care a lot about St. Louis. And so because I care a lot about the environment. So I don't know. I feel like everything's connected. So if I'm caring a lot about the environment, I'm caring a lot about the people in my life. I think it goes like there's like it kind of reminds me of how like respect is a two-way street.
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, the way that I frame it in my framework is to have the sensation of having something, you have to be able to give it away. Um,
Mhm.
through the
Mhm.
experience of caring for other people, you can have a more clear sensation of being cared for inside of an environment. As if you're unable to care for other people, you probably aren't being cared for yourself, right? So just the the ability to care for someone else comes from an experience of having been cared for in one way or another, and we can still yearn for it in different ways, but it also sounds like to me is what you're talking about is a cycle or a spiral where this energy can continue to, it doesn't just go back and forth, like it continues to swell. uh,
Mhm.
and it's important to, I mean, the best way to care for people, one of the best ways to care for people is to care for the environment, because you're having a sense of care for people that you'll never see or never meet. Like if we can get this kind of stuff sorted out, it will make the world better for people who will be born after we're gone.
I'm trying to take care of the mutants now.
Yeah. Little Cyber Angel in the chat says, "It is the best feeling to care and
Yeah,
heart."
I agree.
Mm. Well, I see that, and I think it's encouraging to see people unabashedly speak to the need to care for one another in in the time that we're in right now, and that's kind of why I'm interested in art in some ways. Is it's one of these special methods that we can use to, first of all, come into contact with people who care differently, um, but also being able to uh, use our intention to share ideas or experiences that are potentially meaningful.
I agree. It reminds me of how like I often tell people that impact is more important than intent. Like you might intend for something to go one way, but the impact of it is always going to be something that you have like no control over.
Mm.
And like I might have intended for my dolls to be an escape, but the impact of my dolls has always been something that like I really don't understand, nor can I control.
They're hard to escape. Now I want to place all of that in juxtaposition to this idea of PR or public relation, and how I have the primitive belief that PR people are like sneaky lying devils.
Ooh,
That
I like that. That's what like motivates me is like, okay. Well, you can't have good public relations without really great marketing. So do you feel like that about marketing people too?
well, it's funny because I was a marketing person. Uh, I did
Mm.
I did creative direction for a local business here in St. Louis and marketing, and there are a lot of opportunities in marketing to. Okay, so one of the things that I learned about it is sometimes when marketing feels slimy, it's um, it's actually like these marketing professionals doing the best that they can to care and appeal to the widest audience possible.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, marketing professional.
Um, and so I kind of have a riff. Like sometimes I feel like there's like this cheesiness or this lack of care in materials. But I also noticed from my perspective of actually having to produce those materials that like there is a functional aspect of it, and the best thing to do is trying to like really get to know the audience that you're communicating with and to treat them with respect and with dignity. Um, but it takes a lot of work to do that, and it's not always fruitful, and it doesn't always produce the data and analytics that somebody is looking for. So how do you balance those disparate elements in a way that's helpful for a business? Because at the end of the day, the dollar is the bottom line in that type of work. And I did that type of work with people that I loved and for a business that I loved, for the people that I really cared for. But I still felt that sensation from time to time that none of this can continue if we're not converting, if we're not making money.
That's a tough one. Capitalism. Whew. Shout
But
out to our capitalist overlords.
is that a mischaracterization of what public relations is?
Well, from my experience, public relations has always been about messaging. So I'm very keen on like what do you need to say and who do you need to know that you're saying that. Um I feel like public relations has always been like kind of a joke to me, if that makes sense. Um, like my first public relations class, the professor fell asleep. Like he showed us a video from the 70s and then he literally fell asleep. Like the video was over and we looked at him and he was sleeping. Like he was on the wall, just like dozing off. So, it's one of those things that if you want to be successful, you have to be able to communicate how you got to be who you are. You have to be able to communicate where, like, what your values are, what your history is. There's just like public relations gave me a framework that I can use in any type of field. Like right now I'm in the mortgage industry, so I'm able to use my public relations skills there. Public relations has never been something where I was like, okay, I'm going to use this every day of my life. I do use components of it, but I don't use the entire framework. Public relations consulting to other artists, but I don't ask for anything like I I think that what I learned I could have learned online for like for $0 and like maybe 30 minutes of like course, like 30 minutes of like quizzing, I could have learned what I know, but it took
Mm.
me 3 years to get a degree. And so I tried to use my degree in a way where I'm giving back. Like I didn't get a public relations degree for myself. I got it so that I could have these skills to share with other people.
Mm-hmm.
My parents don't understand the whole public relations thing still. They're like, so do you write for newspapers or do you not write for newspapers?
Yeah. I think I don't have even, yeah, like a clear understanding of what it is either. I think the reason that I had that perspective of it is I think of PR people as the people who help the politician apologize.
Yes, yes, we definitely need crisis communication. Like that is a particular focus of public relations. Is
Okay.
like, oh shit, I'm cheating on my husband, and I have to apologize or something. Uh,
So that's like a
I've
subset.
never been. Yeah, crisis communications definitely. There's some firms that specialize in it. So like
Oh,
Tiger Woods
interesting.
had a really good like his crisis communications was really good when his like scandal was popping off.
Yeah.
Um I've never been interested in crisis communications because I'm I'm not going to say I'm partial to crises, but like I'm really cool when there's chaos going on, so sometimes I'm too cool.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't want me handling your crisis. I don't want to handle your crisis.
Just take it easy. It's all gonna be fine.
Yeah, dude.
Way worse things have happened in the world than your little personal problem.
Yeah, that's the type of public relations approach I have is like let's just like talk to the audience like they're our friends.
Mm, that's interesting. Yeah, I just think of that whole field as without having any further knowledge of it. I kind of characterize that field as crisis communication. Like that's kind of like the basis of it. Um, but apparently that's wrong.
At least it's wrong for me.
Hmm.
I did fail crisis communications as like
Oh,
as a course. Yeah, I definitely did fail that course. So
that seems like a fitting. It seems like a really telling life event.
there was a lot going on that semester. I failed because like I was using a paper, like I was using a previous paper to like take information from, and I didn't like delete the sections that I was like kind of like loosely inspired by.
Mm.
And my professor was like, "Yo, this is like from a different paper," and I was like, "Oh man, there's a lot going on, fam. Just fail me. I'm not gonna take this again. Whatever."
Yeah, I mean, potentially that was an opportunity for you to really show your ability to crisis communicate, and the instructor was trying to take you to the next level of setting up this. He did the professor. They did this with every student, and you only passed if you were able to uh, communicate in that crisis very well. It's a really messed up way to teach a class.
Yeah, I failed. It's okay. Every failure is just another lesson.
um, it's great. So maybe before we take our little break, I guess I'm curious, like what are the ways that experience and that knowledge has impacted your creative practice or impacted your community with fellow artists, like specific applications for the things you learned.
Mm, well, so like I've definitely worked with like designers and artists here in St. Louis who are I wouldn't say that their messaging is wrong. It's just that they don't know how to introduce themselves
Hmm.
or they don't know what an elevator pitch is.
Hmm.
And so like I come in from the perspective and I'm like, okay, tell me like as brief of like, tell me a brief.
Hmm.
And like, most people don't have briefs, or like they aren't they have the information, they just don't know how to organize the information. And public relations has always been for me just like being able to organize this information. And like, for example, I have a friend who's a watchmaker, and didn't have the he didn't have a plan on how to talk about what he's making. So
Mm.
I developed a plan for him. And like, in exchange for me developing the plan, he gave me a watch. So every time I'm wearing his watch, I can tell people, oh, hey, if you need a watch, I have a watch guy. But
Yeah.
also, he has a plan on like how to talk about himself when people notice his watch on his hand. He's like, oh, I'm the watch guy. Like, just giving people the framework in which that they can use to explain themselves to the audience.
Hmm. How do you feel wearing a watch when you know time isn't real?
I know marketing is real. I know the community that surrounds me is real. Um, I know what time it is just because I have someone made me a watch that shows me what time it is.
Hmm.
It's just like, I wouldn't know what time it was if someone hadn't have told me, or like made this apparatus to tell me what time it is. So I'm thankful that I have a watch. I'm not wearing it right now because it's Sunday and I don't need to really know what time it is.
Mm.
But, shout out to my watch guy.
Yeah, who is this mysterious watchmaker?
If anyone needs his contact information, let me know.
Yes. Yeah. Slide in the DMs.
Yes, please slide in my DMs. I'll give you his contact info. And Nisveta sent you.
Good. Nakono in the chat says, LMAO, that was some Jaden Smith stuff. I love Jaden. Everyone needs to listen to Sire and Ears, Ery's. Sire and Sire backwards, because Jaden Smith has made music that encapsulates the different personalities and the different roles, and all of the code switching that Jaden has to do in his daily life has made music that perfectly encapsulates this small idea for me. And I know his music's much more than that, but just being able to see Jaden's flexibility and all of these different hats that Jaden has to wear on a daily basis expressed through his music is a wonderful and beautiful experience. So I recommend definitely going and listening to that, until listen to it until it makes sense. You have to pay attention to it. On that note, we're going to transition into our first break here. Thanks for everyone who's been talking in the chat, been hanging out with us, been asking questions, and been bringing up awesome things like Jaden Smith. If you are interested in checking out some work from Nisveta, I'll pop the links in the chat here. You can DM her about getting a watch made, if you need to, or dolls, getting dolls made, all different kinds of things. If you're enjoying the stream, please leave us a follow. Following us on Twitch gives us access to more tools, more analytics. It lets you keep up with our streams in a really easy way. If you're really loving and supporting the stream, you can also subscribe to us. You get a free subscription every month from if you're an Amazon Prime member. So if you link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch, you can give us money without actually giving us money. All that stuff is super awesome and really well appreciated. We like to take breaks that last between 10 and 15 minutes, so we're going to do that now. I think we are back. Welcome back to the stream. We were just getting into a really important conversation about Young Lean. So yeah, I would recommend getting into Stranger would be a good entry point into his more serious work, and
Mm.
then the next thing would be to I mean, his new stuff is cool. His pop music stuff, and yeah, I don't know. If you like Stranger, then we can go further. We can go further.
Okay, good.
I can tell you more.
I
He's got
mean,
some,
he's Swedish, so I'm already interested. I love Swedish artists.
he's got a great song with Ferg and a great song with Travis Scott that make it kind of make it an easy entryway into him. Um, but I love his vibe and his openness and lack of uh, lack of care. Like one of the things he says in one of his interviews is he was like, "Yeah, you should really just start trying to dress well before you make a lot of money." Because if you make a lot of money and then you buy really nice clothes, then you're just gonna like look like a kind of like a clown. And it's like nice clothes don't make you look good. Like expensive clothes don't make you look good. It's just about like understanding what you like and rocking it.
Yeah, or that, or just hire a stylist when you get to
Oh,
that.
oh
Young
yeah.
Lee, let me know if you need a stylist. I'll style you, man.
So this is a photo of you as a youngin'?
Yes, young Nisveta. So this photo was taken in my parents' first apartment in South St. Louis. And it's funny because I oftentimes go get my car fixed at this car like at at this car place that's like kind of right next to the building where this photo was taken. So
Whoa.
like last week I was just like walking by the building and like thinking about like what it was to be a little immigrant kid in America.
Yeah. And it's like so close. How old are you here?
I think I'm like 5 or 6.
5. I barely remember 5.
I was clearly living it up.
Living
I
it
like
up,
it
yeah.
seems could not figure out if I was gonna go swimming or if I had to like drive a fast car or if I had like a construction job I needed to get to.
Yeah, the only thing that's for sure is that wherever it is, it was sunny and bright, and you're protecting your little lids. Yeah, I don't know. I like the like familiarity of it, and even just like I feel like that like china cabinet just feels like something that everyone had in their house at that time.
Actually, I could reenact this photo because we still have that cabinet.
Really?
Like I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
oh, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm zoomed in. Still learning how to use a computer. You sent me this too. Is this an illustration that you did?
Does it say it hasn't loaded on my end. Does it say have a better day tomorrow?
Yeah.
So I did that for a coloring book that I did. I've been
Oh.
making like coloring books for I think the first coloring book I did was in 2017 and then the last one I did was last year.
How many have you done?
Um so I guess two in total
Okay.
and I'm still like deciding if I want to do a third one just to make it like a trifecta.
Mm.
But I don't know how I feel about illustrating really. I don't think that I have a like the illustrators that I follow have a very like they have a very unique style. So I
Hmm.
don't think I have like a unique style so far in my illustrating to make it like a thing that I talk about more often.
Hmm. Making a coloring book is fun though. Have you colored your own coloring books?
Yes, I have.
Was it like a run of them, like
Uh,
multiples?
uh, no, I have like a lot of copies of it. So like sometimes I'll like color it and send it to one of my pen pals, or I'll like send like I'll write on the back of one or on the front of one and just like
Mm.
send them like a letter on this coloring book sheet. Um, I feel like the coloring book I've used in like weird settings where it's like, here's my, like, I don't have a business card, but here's my coloring book. Like, here's the sheet for my coloring book. Follow me on Twitter. Um, yeah, it's been, the coloring book is something that like I wanted to just like, I wanted to zone out. Like that's also what I do with the dolls is I zone
Yeah.
out and I make things. So it's just like another thing that I use to zone.
Mm, nice. Yeah, it has has a similar feel to it. Even the illustrations, like this isn't like if I was to color this in, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot of thought. Like you've made it easy, you know. I think I used to get these coloring books that were like super complex like geometries or like sacred geometry coloring books where then it was like it was so stressful for me as a kid. They were like mazes or I don't even remember what they were. It was so stressful for me as a kid to like color them, but I was like I want something harder. I want to color something harder. Which is like
Make
a
your own.
strange thing. But it's like not what I want to do at all now. I want to just like chill out. Be a fun thing to chill out with.
Yeah, I definitely made chill coloring books.
Sketchbook.jpg. I liked this. I featured this prominently in the image that I created for our Art Brunch
Yeah.
stream today.
Are you a fan of circles?
The shape?
Yeah.
Um, yes. I
Yeah,
would
me too.
I would say I'm more of a fan of ovals than
Mm.
circles.
Mm.
I love
So
ovals.
I think my favorite shape is a triangle.
How did you arrive at that?
Um, First, I want to say I really like the joke. I really like that there's like acute triangles because I like if I had to be a shape, if I had to like, if I was like in an animated version of my life and I was a like a triangle Nisveta,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be into it. So yeah, I love shapes for real.
And where do circles rank on your hierarchy of shapes?
I really like them because I would say like they're not triangles, but they're like pretty like close to triangles. Like
Mm.
it's pretty high up there.
Do you have like a synesthesic experience with shapes? Like a triangle feels like something more than a triangle to you?
Um, Sometimes I don't know. That's like the first time I'm hearing that word. Say that again.
So it's probably a somewhat misuse of the word. I think there are more specific meanings, but synesthesia is like the mixing of senses. So having things that are visual mix with like having an auditory experience or an emotive experience. So like the triangle in like is just like a shape, right? But you
Hmm.
can have the experience of the triangle reminding you of a feeling or reminding you of a sound, and that's kind of like a mixing of senses.
Yeah, I for sure get that with triangles. I have a my favorite store in Bosnia has a artist that I absolutely love, and they have these like triangle necklaces. And like I love like holding onto my triangle necklace and just like recalling like being in Bosnia.
Mm. I also really like this image. I'm drawn to this image because of the way the markers bled through from the previous page. And it like I don't know, it's so comforting to see that for some reason for me. Like the bled through marker. Because it's something that I like desperately avoid a lot of times. and my creative practice is like it's an unintended consequence, right? Like having the marker bleed through, or maybe there was this experience of me as a child where like I was um, drawing with markers on a piece of paper and got the marker bled through and got onto a surface that it wasn't supposed to, and I got in trouble for it.
Oh no.
But it's comforting in this space because like it's okay. I kind of like the way that it looks.
Yeah, I love this. I don't know. I really like this sketchbook a lot. I got this sketchbook in. I have like two or three of the same sketchbook, and I got them when I was in Spain.
Hmm.
So, like, whenever I'm like doodling or doing whatever in the sketchbook, I just feel like I can just kind of like feel myself on a train in Spain instead of being like wherever I am here.
Hmm. Do you consider yourself having a strong sketchbook practice?
Oh yeah, for sure. I I think I think I go through a sketchbook or two a year, and I'm really good at using planners. So like I'll have a planner and a sketchbook duo. I'm really worried about what will come of my sketchbooks. So like I try to be very cautious of what I do put in there.
Hmm.
During college I had one professor that was like really adamant that my sketchbooks were going to be like historical relics, which they are. Our journals are historical relics. But like he like said something along the lines of like, are you going to be ready for like people to be reading this in in hundreds of years and being like Nisveta's journals? And I was like, I don't know, man.
Hmm.
I'm just a college student, man.
That's a lot to.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world where everything you do is permanent and you can't escape any bad decision you've ever made.
Even
Uh,
in your journals.
yeah, I don't like that. I feel angry at this professor right now.
I'm kind of angry at a lot of them, so it's okay. It's all right. He deserved better. I deserved better.
You're right. So what do you self-edit, or I mean like what kinds of things do you keep out of your sketchbooks because of this conversation?
Um, I think the things that I try to keep out are like anything that has to do with self-doubt
Hmm.
or like I oftentimes think about like, do I want a historian to know this about me?
Hmm.
Or this year I had the experience of someone like broke into my studio and they like got some of my sketchbooks, and like in some of them were things that like I didn't self edit,
Hmm.
and like I was really like I didn't think that the person that like took these books cared enough to read the things that I wrote in there, but I was definitely like, are these notebooks going to find a way to come back to me, or like what ideas are in there that I don't already have in a different book.
Hmm.
Oftentimes if I like an idea like this circle thing that I was doing in the sketchbook, these clusters will be found in like a bunch of my notebooks
Hmm.
because I'm like just growing on this idea, or like sometimes these shapes are just a way for like art therapy to happen.
Hmm.
And like the notebooks are really they're historical documents, so I don't want to put in there like, oh like I feel like this, or like I feel like that. I want to be like I accomplished this, or like these are the things I'm heading towards. I want to be something like I want to be putting things down that I can hold myself accountable to, if that makes sense. Like sometimes in journals we write like how we're feeling, but like for me my journals are a way to keep myself accountable.
Hmm. Might be why planners also work really well in your lived experience.
Yeah, I mean looking back at like my middle school planner, it's like it like kind of gives me an idea of like where did I start and like what things inspired me then might still inspire me now.
Hmm. Do you have a space for the a way to record those more private, non-archival thoughts? Is that a practice that you're in, or do you just keep them to yourself?
I'm really bad on Twitter.
Uh,
I'm really bad on Twitter.
it's an awesome
um,
contradiction.
yeah, yeah. Most public relations people would not be on Twitter, but I am definitely on Twitter, and I'm not like thinking about the historians at all on Twitter. I'm thinking about memes and like music mostly is what I'm tweeting about. But like if there's like a thought that I'm like, I just need to get out, it's on the Twitter sphere somewhere.
Ripe for historians. Uh, Alex Optional, welcome to the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you over here. Uh, yes, I love that. That's great. What's next on the roulette wheel of images? This is your headshot by Justin Solomon.
Ooh, yes, people you might know. I don't know if Justin's continuing this project, but I mean, as long as it's still up there, I love it so much because it's like kind of a directory of like people that are beautiful in St. Louis.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the this project. I'm gonna follow it right now.
I love that.
It's a interesting counterpoint to our show last week for those of you who watched it. Um, Ali also had a headshot by Justin Solomon included in her series of images. So for those of you who are here there at that time, this one's it's different. There's like um, a more gestural feel to it, and it still captures your uh, essence in a unique way.
So that photo's from the night that I met Allie.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Justin introduced me and Allie, and he took that photo of me.
Oh yeah. Little Cyber Angel in the chat says I was there that night. It's so cool to have a record of that moment, that landmark.
It really was a huge, a monumental. It was monumental.
And what kind of sucker was that?
I want to say it was a watermelon one.
Oh yeah, the the obvious choice.
Yeah, I'm a big watermelon. Maybe I hope it was a green apple, but I don't
Mm,
think so.
mm.
I would have specifically remembered if it was green apple.
And this is one of your dolls that we've been speaking about.
Oh, so there is this painting, and I forget who did the painting of it, but it's called Mango Tree. And the
Mm.
mango tree pattern, wait, so the mango tree painting is a pattern, and it's like you can wear it. But I took the scraps of it and I made a doll. So this guy, it looks like I took two pieces of fabric and just like sewed them together, and that was like the front of it. And I probably did the same thing with the back, so it's probably a total of 4 panels. He was probably stuffed with alpaca fur. I think I had alpaca fur when I was
Whoa.
making him. Yeah, yeah. One of our friends is Chinese, and she brought back Chinese alpaca fur. So some of the early dolls I made were stuffed with Chinese alpaca.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I
I can't even. I mean, if someone had told me like a long time ago I'd be making dolls and stuffing them with alpaca fur, I'd be like, I don't know any alpacas.
I've never met an alpaca in my life.
Not yet.
Little Cyber Angel in the chat says Dum Dum sticker. Those are the best.
Yeah.
And Alex Optional asks, what was the name of the alpaca?
Uh, the alpaca did not have a name, but in my heart, I like to call it the big alpaca because it looked like the fur had come from several alpacas, not just one. So I was just like, I thanked the big alpaca.
Oh, yeah, like alpaca with a capital A. I see. Yeah. President Lee Gold in the chat says alpaca gang.
Yes.
They are big though, right?
They are.
They're
They
like
are.
huge. Was this
I think
bag
there's
massive?
one alpaca fur somewhere. It was wait, say that again.
Was the alpaca fur bag that you had like super massive?
I had several bags.
Oh, oh
They were like
wow.
I had several bags of that.
That's wild.
So shout out to friends because they bring back art supplies.
Yeah, and I love the treatment of the fabric. Sir Punalot, welcome to the stream. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for stopping in. I like this because like the treatment of these fabrics here, and now to know that it's stuffed with uh, the pure alpaca essence. Um, th- oh, Alex Optional with the hosts. Thanks for hosting. Uh, the treatment of these fabrics here, like it looks so figurative. Looks like a face. Like I see a face just like right away, like a
They're so
mustache
nice.
and
Yeah.
these eyebrows, right? And like the selection process of putting it there, like it looks like it was like this was just a pattern, right? You didn't paint this onto.
The painting. So it was a painting that was printed onto cotton.
Uh-huh.
So the original form is a painting and it is like this is cotton. This is like printed cotton.
But it fits so well with like it fits so anatomical to this doll. It feels like very tailored and very anatomical to the size and shape of this doll.
Yeah, she's very curated.
And that is like I'm just trying to zone in on like the intentionality of that. Like the fabric wasn't designed from the beginning to carry that type of intentionality. It was something that you curated from the fabric into the shape of the doll.
Yep.
Yeah. Alex Optional says it looks like Shan Yu from Mulan.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, so I think that treatment that's what I've noticed with my doll too is this like finding the ways that these fabrics line up to these forms. It's like I don't know, it's very like trippy but like worldly and like it's like coincidence upon coincidence. Um, or there's this term that I really like. One night I was just like laying in bed and I thought of this idea of naming like a show or some kind of art project coincidence control, right? Just like this idea of like how can you control coincidences, um, but taking that into like an active way. So I Googled it, and a website came up, coincidence control, and the person who coined this term and started to create this website was the same guy who invented the flotation tank, John C. Lilly. And I had just been working at a flotation tank center called Float STL here in St. Louis for the past 4 or 5 years. So then I came up with this term, coincidence control, I Googled it, and then it came up, and it was this mega coincidence around this thing that had been taking place in my life for many years. So take from that what you will. That's the kind of thing I feel like you're working with here.
Full circle. Full
This is
circle.
super wild. All right, we can move on. Oh, hello?
Hello.
Okay, here we are. You included this image. Allie making a doll with me.
Yeah, shout out to little cyber angel. This was when I was at Skiff International on Olive. My friends would like come and make dolls with me. This was like a pretty regular thing that happened. Like people would just stop by. Like I would just like invite people to make all with me. You can see like on the table there's just like so much going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
I only cleared like a little bit of space for Allie to like draw out the outfit that she wanted her doll to be wearing.
Yeah. So, um, you. This was something. Oh, little cyber angel says, "Love you so much." Do you have the doll still?
The doll that Allie made is on her office desk. So, um, it's there. It's on your desk. It's waiting for you to come in to the office.
It's a cool communal experience. How did it feel to like? Were you in a space of kind of like sharing how to make these things, like informing your friends, like this is what you need to do to make it?
So I was in a position where I got to really collaborate with anyone that came in like through the door. So whether it be friends, family, neighbors, I still have like organizations that I'm trying to work with that would like in the future um that I want to teach other people that like their old stuff can be new. Like you can make something with the things that you have. Like some people donate their clothes. I just happen to make things out of my clothes. Like I happen to make things out of scraps.
Mm.
And like when I was working at Skiff, I had one lady in particular that reached out to me that works with youth who like struggle with sobriety, and the organization she founded is called Hope Creates. So they teach youth like lifestyle things to like keep up a sober lifestyle. And for me, sobriety is one of those things that I struggle with.
Mm.
So like I would really like to in the future when things are not as gross and awful outside,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to like host more workshops and teach other people that like you can look at something and you can construct something.
Yeah. Sir Punalots in the
And
chat really likes the foot. Says, "Look at that foot, the
ooh, so
concrete
that
foot."
foot is a the man, oh my gosh, the man who founded the city museum.
Oh, Bill Castley.
Yeah, that's his foot. That's Bill's foot.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, that's one of his sculptures. They've got a Skiff has a foot.
Alex Optional says, "Juicy foot, juicy fruit by the foot." Have you ever bit the foot to make sure it wasn't made out of juicy fruit?
I had multiple people try to like buy the foot, and I like as a joke I would say like if you can carry it out the door it's yours, because it's concrete, I think, I'm pretty sure, so it's like
Looks like it.
super heavy. And like I've had a couple of people that were like trying to buy the foot, and I was like, I'm sure you can get a foot, like I'm sure they can make you one, like someone else can make you one, this is ours, like
Yeah, get your
you
own
can
foot.
venture out, like yeah, please get your own.
Get your own foot.com. Uh, yeah, Bill made Alex Optional says, holding the foot. I'm gonna put my foot down. I bet that thing
I
is heavy.
know.
Concrete is so
It's
heavy,
really heavy.
and that thing is
It's
so
so,
solid.
and it's like literally like it's really big.
Oh, it's really big.
It's really big. It's not like a human foot. It's like three times huge. She
It's
big.
it's
She big.
deceptive in the image then. In the image it kind of looks like just slightly bigger than a normal foot, but now put
No,
into
I would
context.
say that the foot probably weighs more than Allie.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy foot.
Okay, well, if you need a foot, you know where to find it.
Order your own.
Okay, and those are the images that we have from you there, but I also want to go look at some more dolls. So let me just pull that up here. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is your Tumblr, right?
And it's not my official Tumblr.
Oh, it's not your
It's my
official
doll
Tumblr.
Tumblr. My
Oh, okay.
official Tumblr is officialbabe.tumblr.com, but that's like a whole thing.
That's for
It's a whole different like
a whole nother day.
that's a whole different like, art thing. Yeah, I was like I didn't want to share it like as a link because it just doesn't like it's just like things that I share, so it didn't seem applicable to the whole like these are my links.
Allie says that she weighs 85 pounds.
Yeah, I think the sculpture probably weighs more than she does. The
A-
Bigfoot sculpture. Yeah.
Alex Optional also weighs 85 pounds, and he doesn't know how to type. So you had an art show in Minecraft?
So first I want to say shout out to Open Pit Presents. Open Pit Presents is they're an organization. They're like a group of these there's a group of people who I really appreciate. They make music, art, a bunch of things. And Open Pit Presents is like a music festival that they create music festivals in Minecraft. So they make like
Mm.
virtual events in virtual spaces. So I was invited to be in the like Minecraft museum gallery curated by one of the curated by the official curator of Open Pits. So I want to thank them and I want to thank like Open Pits for just creating a place for people to go. Like people just need to go places. So like being able to go onto Minecraft and like zone out and like cut down a tree and like
Mm.
see your favorite artist in like Minecraft is just like really cool. So that's how I got like into that, which just I don't think I'll ever really understand how the stars aligned and I was able to get into Minecraft, but that happened.
I love Minecraft. Minecraft is like such a formative experience in my life. Really, really helped me with a lot of things. Yeah, and it's cool that the people are doing things like this
Yeah,
in
definitely
those
follow
spaces.
Open Pits.
Okay.
They're I think I've been paying attention to them for maybe 2 years now, but they're definitely a group of people to keep our eyes on
Mm.
and our ears too because they're very smart.
Did they have something to do with the 100 Gex show in Minecraft?
Yes, they definitely did put on that show, Square Garden. So I got a T-shirt from like the Square Garden. That was a benefit show for I forget what it was. It was like a benefit show for an organization, and I'm definitely blanking. But it was definitely a good event, and so I got the T-shirt for it because it was like a charity event, and
Hmm.
I got the wizard form from that T-shirt.
Oh,
So
really?
like Square Garden T-shirt. I forget
Oh,
who
I
the
see it.
designer of the T-shirt was,
Yeah.
but I definitely need to send them a wizard. Like I definitely need to reach out to that T-shirt designer and say your form inspired my form. Um, yeah, they did amazing. Square Garden, that was super cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's cool that it's all connected. Oh yeah, here I see. Open pit, lava palooza. That's my favorite part about it, I think.
It was so hot.
Did did you see that Steve got added into Super Smash Bros?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so cool.
Alex Optional says, "Say her name, please." Nisveta Fejzic. Right? Did I do it?
Fejzic.
Fejzic. Sorry, mush mouth over here. There you go, Alex. Alex says, "Awesome name."
Thank you. I appreciate.
Okay, and so yeah, this is this wizard form that you're talking that you were mentioning is
Yes.
what you got.
So the t-shirt had like a green, like it was a green wizard, and I was just so inspired by the t-shirt. I was like, wow, I love wizards. I love 100 gex. I love virtual things. Might as well like combine all these things I love into such a simple little doll.
Yeah, yeah. The form is really striking, I think.
Yeah, a t-shirt, the person who designed the Square Garden t-shirt, I owe them a lot. I owe them a wizard doll.
For sure. Yeah, like and with this one, kind of that similar thing, like just being able to look into this image and see the curation of the fabrics and the way that they come together. Like I don't know, I don't want to keep repeating the same things, but just like how taken care of they are. Like this little yellow, bright little yellow hand, and kind of like the contrapposto of it, like the opposition of the hands, um, where you have this little tied off bit. Uh, Mr. President in the chat says colors here remind me of a Henry Matisse piece.
Ooh.
Matisse
I don't know
cutouts.
who that. I don't know who Henry is.
Yeah, there are. Let's. There's some
Let's
issues
see.
around this,
Present to me.
but here are some cutouts from Matisse, which are the ones that I come back to time and time again.
Whoa, that's intense. Whoa, thank you. This is awesome. Oh, heck yeah, that's a beautiful form.
hmm
Ooh, yes. Okay, I'm definitely bookmarking them.
Yeah, Matisse did this work. I mean, they're definitely those are just the cutouts. Matisse, I think, is maybe well known for the paintings, um, but the cutouts are something that I feel are really akin. But yeah, the use of color that Mr. President maybe inference or maybe referencing.
I'm into it.
Wendy Sign says that she totally agrees. Thanks, Mom. Wendy Signs is my mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Rick's mom.
Uh, so yeah, I just I'm so drawn to the way that you can communicate so much with this like randomized fabric. Like it feels so randomized and patterned, and then you find these little ways to accentuate these forms with these special little parts of the fabric. Can't get over it. And on the backside, are they all like clean fabric on the backside?
Some of them are black, some of them are green, like a satin green. Most of the wizards that I did do have a solid background. That isn't the case for a lot of the dolls I've made,
hmm
but yeah, the wizards are a little different from everything I've made. I feel like they're the ones that are like they like remind me so much of like other artists. Like I look at the wizard and I think of like music festival, t-shirt designer, like all these things that had to happen for my eyes to see this wizard form.
Hmm. Wendy Sign says, "You're on my loudspeaker as I work and look every once in a while. She's so inspiring."
Aw, I appreciate you. Thank you.
And this one is very different from the others that we've seen so far.
Ooh, yes. So I I called these dolls my knit babies.
Hmm.
So the designer like Skiff makes designer sweaters, and so there's a lot of like extra sweater bits,
Hmm.
and so I sewed on these like sweater fragments onto this doll, and she was really tall. She was like, she reminded me that like knit things can do, like to be soft is to be strong is what I think about often when I look at my dolls.
Hmm.
And this doll in particular looks like a runway model to me. Like
Mm.
she's tall, she's like kind of waving.
Yeah, she's all legs.
Yeah, she is really all legs.
That's like something people say. I feel like I've heard that before. I don't know what it means. Probably not the best thing, but I've heard it. But this one is all legs. Sir Punalot says this art is poggers.
Aw,
Yeah, it's such a
she was.
difference. This like I don't know. In this context, it looks really like home. It's like homespun. You know.
Ooh, for sure. It is.
Like this is like a childhood doll in Zion in the Matrix.
So, doll making is actually something that like is in my family blood.
Oh.
And my mom, so my mom grew up on a farm in Bosnia, and she used to take care of the goats and the cattle, and she would like be in the field, and she would make dolls out of corn husks.
Hmm.
So like corn husk dolls is a very amazing tradition that like rural people have, and I hate corn husks. Like I can't make a doll out of them. But my mom made these little dolls when she was like growing up. So like it when my mom told me about this, like it was like I'd probably been making dolls for 6 months already,
Hmm.
and it like kind of fueled me even more knowing that like okay, if my mom made dolls, then like I have to continue making dolls. Like there's something that the universe is like guiding us towards, and hopefully it's beautiful and soft.
Hmm. It's interesting how memory works and how you can have a close relationship with another person and not know things about them. Um, and not know things about them that are relevant to your experience. So you're having this relevant self experience, but the whole time, forever, this is something that your mom had that you didn't know that you didn't know, or that you weren't able to access until something inside of life triggers this communal remembrance. Um, so like when I think about memory, there I definitely have memories from my childhood, for instance, but I can't always remember them all at once. I can't remember every memory that I have of my childhood until I have these experiences of remembrance. Uh, so something that is really interesting in a communal, multiple person way of like that is a memory of yours, but you just weren't able to remember it.
It's definitely like intergenerational too, because
Hmm.
it's like I I had no idea I'd be making dolls now. And like even if I had known that my mom had been making dolls when she was young, I don't think it would have made me want to do what I'm doing now.
Mm.
But like doing what I'm doing now and also having this like generational backup where it's like you you have the understanding and also like it's kind of like you didn't have to have this understanding was bestowed on you.
Mm. Yeah. Like, do you think you would have made dolls if she didn't?
That's almost like a it's almost like a question too hard to answer.
Yeah. Good.
And like I don't even want to live in the possibility of a world where she hadn't been making,
Yeah.
because who knows like what type of satisfaction she got from making those dolls when she was younger. Like I'm
Mm.
sure it was just like a creative outlet, but like when you're alone in the field and like the cows are mooing, you can just like continue making a doll and you can have a family of dolls and you can tell them like what to do. And it makes sense like for my mom because like she's very she's very loud when she communicates. So like it makes me think about like she was probably like making these dolls and thinking about her future children. And
Mm.
like the way that she interacts with me is probably the way that she was interacting with some of those dolls.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for making that clear. Have you convinced her to make a doll with you?
Um I haven't convinced her. I think my parents are still very confused on the whole like, why are you making dolls thing? Like last week, my mom told me I could be making quilts. Um, like I'm not very interested in quilt making, although like quilt makers make beautiful quilts. I
Mm-hmm.
am not a quilt maker,
Mm.
so like, she doesn't understand why I'm using the fabric that I have in the way that I'm using it, but it's okay because she's not going to understand it no matter how many times I do explain it to her.
Mm. And you feel okay about that?
Yeah, I feel like I don't have to explain myself to some people because I like I there's like that question like do you care what other people think about you, and it's like there's one thing to care about what people think about you and then there's another thing to internalize and like it I can't teach everyone about me because sometimes people have to learn more about themselves. Like I think
Mm.
my both of my parents have a lot to learn about themselves before they can really understand what they created.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, such a to put simply recursive experience that we're referencing and self-referencing as we talk about the experience of creation and learning about yourself, self-recognition, and then you're making these little buddies, these little beings out of that. Okay, great. It's about time for our second break here today. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in so far. Awesome, awesome experience communicating about these dolls here. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back around 12:12. And if you're enjoying the stream, please drop a follow. It really helps. If you have an unused Amazon Prime subscription, we would love to be your Prime subscribed channel. You can connect with Nisveta in these links that I'm dropping in the chat here, and then you can further connect with the travel agency with our links here. So we will see you back here at 12:12. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Art Brunch Episode 9, streaming on the travel agency. Thank you all for tuning in today. We're here with Nisveta. We're talking dolls and all kinds of fun stuff. Before the break, we were going through some of the different forms, and I wanted to talk specifically about this form. I think that this form is really visually interesting.
My first doll of the year, of the first doll I made of 2020 is this like I don't it is one of the devil dolls, but like this just escalates the form. It's so extreme. It kind of reminds me of like of just like joy and like I don't know. It makes me like really happy to look at this doll because it's like bursting at the seams.
Mm. What do you mean bursting at the seams?
So like if you kind of look at its little antennas, you
Mm-hmm.
can see how the kind of multicolor fabric that I put on, it's like on top of a silver fabric.
Mm.
So like the front of the doll is kind of like riffing around the seams. So it kind of gives this it gives this impression that like the front of the doll is like already kind of fallen off, like the face of the doll is falling off.
Mm. Yeah, I love that the color up there, being kind of like the only place that there's color on the form. It's like focused energy. Yeah.
I don't know if those are like ears or if they're eyes.
Oh.
You know, they're like there's some type of apparatus, and like this doll is definitely like communicating with the world in a type of frequency that I can't.
Hmm. Wendy Signs in the chat says, "Do you align your fabric or just cut?" And also she says, "I took it as horns."
Ooh, yeah, the horns are really good too. It really depends on what type of form I'm trying to make. If I like this one, I made free form. So I just knew that like I was gonna have these like two pointy things, and then I like continued and made the body. But if I'm trying to make like the wizard doll, I'm very particular. So I'll be like sectioning and like marking and pinning down things so that nothing like riffs in the wrong place.
Hmm.
Some dolls are more like are more I don't want to say like hard to make, but there's more thought that goes into some of them than others.
Hmm.
Since this one was the first doll of the year, I really was just like, let's go.
Hmm. Cool. Yes, I have a wizard here, and we've just like conveniently not mentioned the entire stream that you're wearing a doll today.
She's pinned down, so I can always like take her off.
Yeah. Is that one a recent addition to the world?
This one was not recent. This one's probably a year old. I
Mm.
probably made this around like November time. So yeah, she's almost a year old. She has like a striped fabric on one end, and then this also used to be a painting, and then it was made into a fabric that was
Oh,
then
cool.
used on this doll.
And here's mine. Oh, oh, que chévere. So cool. I immediately like when I first got it wanted to hold it like a gun or like a dagger. It's like
It is a weapon. Softness is a weapon.
it, and yeah, it's fun to see him in three dimensions. So this is the solid color backing that we were talking about that isn't featured prominently in the photographs that you take for obvious reasons. Um, and you were saying that most of the wizard collection have just a solid color on the back. They aren't double patterned. Is that an aesthetic choice or is it like a functional choice?
I mostly chose it because I didn't know if I was gonna have enough of like the front fabric. Since I work with limited amounts of like scraps, I don't really know if I'm gonna have like enough of that fabric to do a front and a back.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like a just in case thing. If I don't have enough fabric to cover the back end, I'm just gonna do a solid.
Mm, I like it though. I think
Yeah, I didn't
it's
expect it to look that good. I kind of was like not sure about the whole solid back, but there's a lot of dolls that I've made that I've been like I'm unsure, and other people have been like, "No, this is I would see this in a museum." And I'm like, I wouldn't, but
I can tell you all the things I love about it. First of all, his little boots. His little boots are so cute and perfectly sized. Um, and then one thing that I really, really think is great is like the pointiness of this hand and the brightness of it, and then the like feathery thing over here. So it's like a soft hand. Like this is like
Hmm.
the casting hand, and then this is like the caressing hand.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, the top T Green Girl says the fabric almost twists the seam. Yeah, so there is like a tension in them. And then like the fun journey of the hat, the way that it spins and rotates in color
That
to
one's
this.
very mobile. Yeah.
What's
He's
that?
going
Oh
somewhere.
yeah. Yeah.
That one's very mobile. He's going somewhere.
Well, it's because these boots were made for walking.
Oh my God. So I'm not kidding right now. In my parents' basement, this is where I am located right now. There's a Dukes of Hazzard like poster, like custom, like someone made this like custom Dukes of Hazzard thing. And it's just like Jessica Simpson, and she's not wearing boots, but like her boobs look really good. And all I
Mm.
can think is like, I can't believe you just made a Jessica Simpson reference, and she's literally like right, she's in my eyesight. Like I can see her boobs.
Wow. I
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of everything about Dukes of Hazzard that's not racist. Uh, I grew up watching that show. I love cars, and that one, just like all of the like jumping cars thing and like running away from the police is great. And then Johnny Knoxville in the remake, um, so fun because Johnny is a blessed soul in my life, and yeah, so it all really comes together here on Art Brunch. Okay, cool. So to wrap up interviews, we have a series of 10 questions that we ask people. We don't have to like we're not wrapping up. These are opportunities for more conversation to kind of take place.
Only 10 though.
What's that?
I said only 10 though.
Only 10. But yeah, these are kind of like our season 1 questions. I'm thinking we're getting close to the end of our season, but I didn't know that there was going to be an end of the season when we started. But now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, oh, at some point this is going to be season 1, which I think is 12 episodes. I think that's what I've described or decided. So this is episode 9. Next
Mhm.
week we have uh, an Indonesian American artist coming on Art Brunch. His name is Richard Munaba. Um,
Ooh,
uh,
good name.
yeah, good name. Lives in New York City and does a lot of like digitally manipulated new media artwork. So for those of you who are watching, want to check that out. So that's 10, and then we have 2 more maybe this season. But these are season 1 questions. So I'd like to start off with what is one simple thing that you're trying to get good at?
Can I say answering questions?
I would expect
That's
nothing
my public
less
relations
from you.
answer. Oh my gosh. That's my public relations answer. I want to be able to hack my life. So when I say that, I mean I want to be able to have like an automated response to everything. I want to be able to like put up a note that says gone fishing, talk to my artificial intelligence
Mm.
assistant. Like
Hmm.
that's what I'm trying to get good at is how can I not be a part of capitalism but also get my money.
Mm.
What I'm trying to
Ah,
get.
I like that is the dream come true. How to make money without selling your soul to capitalism. Okay. Do you prefer sparkling or still water?
Oh, this is a hard
Because you're
question.
big on water.
I'm really big on water, and I'm really big on like flavored sparkling water. So like if there's a pear, like if you got a sparkling water and it's pear flavored like the IKEA does,
Mm.
because IKEA has really, really good sparkling water like dispensers. I think they have like pear. They have like they have they have
Lingonberry?
like they have really good. Yeah, they have really good. They got really good dispensers. So sometimes I'll go to IKEA and just get water. I haven't done that this year, but like when I say I'm at my happy place, I mean I'm at the water dispenser. Like I'm at the water dispenser at IKEA filling up like multiple water bottles.
That's great. Little Cybrangel in the chat says bandemic? Bandemic?
Yes, we in a pandemic, not a
A,
pandemic.
oh, a bandemic. What does that what does that mean?
I think so. Like basically, that came from a SpongeBob meme. Like there's this like I'll definitely share it. Um, but it's basically SpongeBob, and he looks like a gangster, and he's like he got bands, and it says they in a
Oh.
pandemic, we in a
Uh,
pandemic.
okay. I was
So
feeling
sure.
that. I was feeling that with that little federal how do you do that they gave me there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Little Cybrangel also says she tells me to stay hydrated every day. Truly. Uh,
You are a house plant with more complicated emotions.
uh, and T Green Girl
Water up.
is saying peach pear Lacroix.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh, that's really
that is
good.
good
Really
stuff.
good.
So you didn't answer the question, and it's something that you're trying to get better at. So
I'm trying to just be a better me. Like I'm trying to be like the better Nisveta. Like I'm trying to outdo myself.
but you're not answering the question if you prefer sparkling or still water.
Uh,
You're ducking me.
that's so hard. That's really hard. I love water. This is like asking me like if I had children, like which child would I keep or not? Like if anything,
Ooh, I guess I should cross that question off the list.
it's a good question though. I'm just saying
The
like
children question. That was
for
next.
me, what?
The which child would you get rid of? That was the next question on the list. But I'm gonna cross it out.
Ooh.
No. Okay. Next 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 question on the list is what is your favorite type of gum?
My favorite type of gum is Big Chew, like the baseball,
Big League
like the
Chew?
one. Yes,
Yeah.
Big Chew.
In the pouch.
Mm-hmm.
It only comes in pouches, right?
Yeah, at least that's the only ones I've seen. They have to like integrate us into the tobacco culture, and I really love that about
Hmm.
it.
Oh, it definitely did that for me as a kid. I feel like didn't I think that that was like a sticking point for me not getting Big League Chew as a kid. Was like it
Mhm.
was tobacco adjacent.
That's why I liked it. And then my parents really didn't understand it. They're just like, "That's gum, right?" And I was like, "Yeah."
I like Five Gum mostly for their their power and their sensibility and their commercials.
But they aren't paying us yet to talk about them.
Not yet. Soon. Um,
For sure.
my
The
dream
connect to
job,
Five Gum.
my dream job is making like the commercials for Five Gum. That would really be my dream job. Uh,
I wonder what their budget looks like.
it looked pretty big at the time.
They're in a pandemic too.
Yeah, yeah. Gum stocks are through the roof. Have you ever successfully completed a game of Monopoly in your life?
I don't know. Never. Never have I ever. I've never even played.
It's for the best.
I don't think I would know how to start to play. Like I'm really bad at reading instructions. So like
Hmm.
I would be like, I don't know.
The way you play
Really bad.
is you um, roll dice and get increasingly angry at one another. Uh, every
And there's
time
rules.
every time you roll the dice, something bad happens, and you start to resent your family members more and more, slowly and surely, until the game. I mean, and the game lasts like 3 to 5 hours. So you just like walking through hell, and most of the time, people just like quit because they can't take it anymore, or they're like arguments over dice rolls or like rule sets. The way you play the game is you play it poorly. Uh, yeah, Wendy in the chat says 3 to 5 days she's had some games last. Um,
Excuse what?
you just play it
No.
until
Do not invite me to play Monopoly.
until you hate everybody that you're playing it with, and then once you hate everyone you're playing it
A
with,
real
you played it right. What?
Just make a real Monopoly.
Yeah.
Make a real Monopoly if you're gonna play the game. Just might as well use those skills.
On on the podcast um Anthropocene reviewed. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Okay, so he reviewed Monopoly, and it's a really good segment. He basically goes into talking about how like Monopoly was stolen from people and then marketed as a unique invention that he made all himself, and like Milton Bradley like bought it, and they have this whole like origin story that's actually just completely false, and it's like one of
I
the
love
best selling
that.
board games of all time.
That's amazing. That's exactly what I would have thought.
It had to be that way.
You fake it till you make it.
You steal it till you reel it. um, if
Yeah.
if if you weren't in your current profession, what would you be doing? Like, if you could do anything other than what you are doing. And it's a strange question
Wow.
in the
Really hard
context.
question because like I most of the year I spent unemployed, like a lot of folks, and like right now I'm temping in an industry where I was like, wow, I didn't see myself here ever. So where do I not see myself ever? Um, I I would want to be like in Germany teaching English.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be like super offhand, but also it's not the weirdest thing because before the pandemic started popping, I was thinking about going to China to teach
Hmm.
English.
Hmm.
So, yeah, something about English.
Cool. Um, do you prefer Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, or Disney most?
Can I say Channel 9? Can
Oh
I say
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Archer and like oh man, like Cyber Chase?
Mm. Was that a Channel 9?
Yeah, it was a Channel 9 show where these kids were like in the cyber world.
It's is it PBS Kids?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see, there's WB, which we don't include on that list. Sometimes we get someone who says WB, and then you're the first to say PBS Kids. So I should diversify it. I mean, those three are the kind of like the catch-all, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't list every network.
Yeah.
I can't list all five networks. The best I can do is three.
There's a lot of options for cartoons. That's what I'm really blessed by.
Yeah. I I want to finish watching Gravity Falls. I've heard that one's really good.
Ooh, I haven't seen that one. I really like the animation style though.
It's so cute. Do you tie your right shoe or your left shoe first?
I'm anti shoes.
Anti shoes or anti laces?
I think I'm very anti laces. Uh, I'm I'm being super sarcastic when I say I'm anti shoes, but like, um,
No, be
yeah,
yourself, you
I'm
know?
definitely. I don't. I try to wear shoes that have no laces or that have like laces that I don't have to think about because the idea of like having a lace that's undone gives me a lot of anxiety. So like when I do have shoes that have laces, I make sure to like make the knot really really hard.
Mm. What do you think the worst thing shoes brought into the world is? Like what's part of your anti-shoe philosophy?
Pollution.
Mm.
Also like people forget that like a lot of the companies that we love have like history and like they have a lot of history with like not being good labor practices. So like oftentimes the shoes that we're buying are a part of these unethical labor practices.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom's shoes was one of the biggest reasons why I'm so anti shoe. Like they made such a marketing plan about like giving people shoes, like you buy a shoe, like you buy your pair, we'll give a pair out. But the people they were giving pairs to were like, we don't need your shoes, bro.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of the way that a lot of donated clothing material gets shipped off and sent to countries where we feel good about sending them clothing, but it actually like completely ravaged their textile manufacturing sectors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a lot of times I don't even like to donate clothes anymore because I feel like I'm playing into like the destabilization of developing countries' economies.
Same.
Just we send them our fabric trash, and I mean there are like sub economies around the purchasing and the selling of those goods that do provide things, but from the research that I've done, it's less beneficial than the textile manufacturing that was taking place there.
Mm-hmm. Goodwill does it all the time. Like if the things don't get bought at their outlet, they just like ship it all to China and China just like buys whatever they're sending over.
Should we all start shipping you our clothes that we were going to donate?
I would say everyone should just start making things out of the clothes that they were going to donate. It
Okay.
just seems way more ethical. And like a lot of our clothes have sentimental, like, we have certain emotions towards our clothing. So once you start making things out of the things that you already own, it, it's really comforting because it's like you're not adding to any waste. You're just like, you're evolving.
Mm, I dig that. When you're driving, are you typically the giver or the recipient of being flipped off, or the bird? Right.
So I I feel like I'm a really bad driver. I'm also anti cars. So I think we should be banning cars. Like there's no better reason. There's no like cars are so ridiculous. Like I cannot believe that as an individual I can get into a motor vehicle and just like run someone over or like get into an accident. Like cars are so dangerous. Okay, wait, what was your question about the car thing?
I think you've answered it. You're the one that get receives the bird. That's yeah, it's good. You said I'm a very bad driver. I hate cars. What
I'm
are
sorry, everyone.
no? Little Cyber Angel says I'm the flipper. Plus, cars break down all the time.
True. Cars are hard.
Wouldn't it be wild if one time you were driving poorly and then little Cyber Angel was driving near you and didn't know it was you, and you were driving poorly, and then Allie flipped you off without knowing that it was you? It'd be great. I'd pay money for that show.
I'd pay money to see me and Allie in a show, yes. I don't know if I would want to be in a car, like not in the same car as her
Mm,
though, because I like the same car as Allie.
that's sweet. What are your thoughts on quinoa?
I'm not a big fan.
Same.
Like, I don't understand why the whole economy about like super healthy foods is like, I'm not someone that's like a super healthy person, but like, I don't get quinoa. I'll eat it if it's in a meal, but I don't like buy it because I don't need it because I eat other things.
Like rice. Like I'd take rice over
Yeah,
quinoa.
I've had it for rice.
Rice
I
is
definitely had some rice yesterday. Yeah,
rice is like world staple top three. It's like top three food.
I'd eat it.
Yeah. Okay, and then maybe a shift in gears, but maybe works in the same way as these other questions. Our last question is, what is the most memorable response you've gotten to your work?
Um, the most memorable has to be someone sent a thank you card for getting one of my dolls, and in the beginning my dolls would they would they would go out with sweater shipments, so like each order was like a box, and in each of the boxes would be like a doll. So I didn't expect to get like a thank you letter for just like sending out a doll or sending out any dolls.
Hmm.
I was looking back through my archive yesterday, and I found like a photo of the thank you letter, and it was like it brought me back because I didn't realize that like my dolls could bring so much joy, and that was one of the first times that I realized that like what I was making was bringing joy to other people, so I had to keep doing what I was doing.
Mm. Yeah, so this went to somebody that you didn't know, that, and it wasn't like advertised that you buy a sweater and get a doll. This was like a surprise, right?
Yep, it was just a little thank you. It was just a little creature in your box.
Hmm. People then had this experience of like discovering, uh, yeah, it's like, oh, that's novel and like different, and probably put a lot of people in good moods, and probably put one person in a really bad mood. They were like, I didn't ask for a damn doll. Like, who
No, for real though, for
did
real.
you
I'm sure
accidentally send a doll? Like, is this my order? But
you open the box and there's only a doll
only
waiting
dolls.
on a order,
Only like 30 really realistic lifelike dolls.
which I could never do.
But most likely a lot of those experiences were acts of discovery, and then you got this little like message back from the ether. Like, hey, I saw your thing. That's so sweet.
It was so kind. I'll never forget. I never want to forget like how I felt when I like read the message. It just felt so pure. Like I didn't want a doll and I didn't have to make a doll, but at the end of the day they got one and I made one.
Mm. And this isn't a part of the 10 questions, but it's kind of like a follow-up to the series of 10 questions. I think it's really important for artists to begin to talk about the ways that they want to be supported in their creative practice, or storytellers, if we use those words interchangeably when we talk to you. Um, and I encourage you to tell me like the ways that you like to be supported in the work, or the ways that you're asking people to support your work.
Mm, I think the way that people can support my work the most is by making their own work.
Mm,
Like I feel very inspired by other people. Like if other people around me aren't making work, I'm not going to be making anything.
mhm,
So as long as the people in the world continue to make art and continue to like share a story and continue to evolve in their own, like as long as everyone around me is evolving, I'll be able to evolve as an artist. Like um I I 100% believe that there is no artist without a community. Like I I just want everyone in my community to continue making art so that I can continue making art.
Mhm. Done.
It's really simple. It's really, really simple, and that's why I really like it.
Mm. Yeah. So even if you have, yeah. So for me, the way that that changes my thoughts, or potentially assists my thoughts, is that even when there are times in creative practice that are difficult, or you feel like you are not making things that are important or impactful in the world, you can tell yourself at least that I am making art and it's helping Nisveta. At the very least, because it's clear now. That's something that you've given to us all. So no more
Yeah.
excuses, artists. The time for excuses is past. Um, no, that's great. Uh, and my personal little soapbox that I like to get on every time when we have this conversation is continuing to communicate with each other, to continuing to communicate with other artists. Um, our relationship uh, comes from Nikono says, "Oh, I have plenty of other excuses." We're coming for them one by one, Nikono, here on Art Brunch. We're ticking them off the list. Uh, but yeah, I mean, our relationship, our connection in being able to grow a relationship comes from our interactions in cyberspace, and me asking for people to tell me if they want to be on the show, and you telling me that you wanted to be on the show, which is like so powerful and important to me, because it was uh, it's always an experience of feeling validated in my work that other people are interested in taking part in the conversation, taking part in the conversation that we're creating here. And that's like an act of vulnerability, or like asking for support that we can find in each other, of just like having connections and getting to know each other, and making stuff together. Um, so my soapbox is I'm really nice. All of the artists I talk to are really nice. Most of the time, they just want to talk to other people that see them, or attempt to appreciate what they do. And the more that we can connect with each other and share with each other, the more connection and sharing happens.
And
So,
nothing's made in a vacuum.
mm, what do you mean by that?
Like I often like for me, one form inspires the next form. So like the first doll I made has impacted the next doll I've made. So in that way, I think about how I'm informing other people around me. Like when I make something, they get to have the visual of what I've made and they get to be informed by that. So my form is informing your form.
Mm, yeah, cool. Is there anything else you want to talk about or to share with your audience today?
I honestly just want to say I love St. Louis a lot and there's just so much to support.
Yeah, I feel fortunate to have had so many formative experiences in this city. Okay, well, I guess we're going to conclude our conversation here. We'll be here for another second. If anyone has any questions for Nisveta in the chat, who want to ask her some questions before we go, feel free to drop them in now. I'm also going to share Nisveta's links one more time in the chat, so go check out Instagram, go check out this Tumblr, and um, you know, make work and share work.
Please make work.
I'm going to share our links as well, so you can click on our link tree. If you're interested in collaborating with us, we would love to have you here. We have Art Brunch, and then we also are looking for artists who are interested in creating their own show for the travel agency, just showcasing their work. And we're really smart and big brain and know how to do all of this stuff, so we'll teach you. So don't be afraid. So if anybody's interested in doing that, you can fill out our little Google Doc form that we have there. Um, you know, like, subscribe, follow, smash that like button. Want to thank you, Nisveta, for being here today and being so open with your practice and sharing your beautiful work with all of us. I cherish and treasure my little Wizzy. Has added some needed softness and color to my life.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having him. Every wizard needs a cool home.
Cool. Well, we're going to wrap it there. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in today. If you enjoyed the stream, please follow us. If you have an Amazon Prime sub to spend it on us, or just give us $5. You can do that too. We accept, the sub. Subs are a really great way to help support the channel. If we have more subscribers, we can make more emojis, more emotes, which is great. Nikono, you're welcome as always. Thank you for being here. Thanks to everyone in the chat. We love you all. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, with Richard Munaba, New York City-based artist doing some new media stuff. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a great week coming up. Bye.
Bye.